batsuits destroyed, Alfred?
All except the prototype with the sonar modifications you invented, but you haven't tested it yet.
Tonight's a good night.
The clothes make the man, as they say. And in this instance, the cape, the cowl, and the clothes make the Batman. You need that symbol right there. Otherwise, I think the whole thing might be a little confusing.
And there's something to be said for the fact that his name is not just Batman, it's the Dark Knight. And that costume is a suit of armor.
In the comics, Batman doesn't need much protection. Bruce Wayne is so good at the job, he can wear the blue cape and the gray outfit and not sweat it. You could be that powerful. But once they brought Batman to the movies, not so much the TV show, because Adam West's Batman outfit was not protective at all. That indicates a Batman who's like, I'm not afraid of anybody because I'm wearing this.
The Riddler's up to something tricky. Better let us handle this.
Let the costume work for you. It certainly did for me. We emerged at a time that was very colorful, somewhat bizarre.
You were great, Batman.
Sit down, Robin. Thank you.
When you wear a costume, especially running around in tights as a grown man with a cape flowing and a cowl that's so hot you can hardly breathe, the days become kind of long and very intense.
I used to watch the Batman 66 shows, I think in the 70s. I was too young to see it when it first aired. It looked like state-of-the-art superhero costumes to me.
That's not your belt.
It was just beautiful. The textures, the velvety sheen of the cowl and the cape, the painted eyebrows, the utility belt looked super functional. The metal elements of the belt buckle, even on the bat symbol that was on the belt buckle itself.
When dealing with powerful criminal elements, one can never be too well prepared.
When you get into the world of the Batman movies, suddenly the suit becomes almost as big of a character.
I'm Batman.
When Michael Keaton got cast as Batman, there was no internet. Yet, it broke the internet with how many people were upset that Mr. Mom was going to be Batman, until they put out the very first photo of Michael Keaton wearing the Batsuit.
When Tim Burton revealed his take on The Dark Knight, it was really revolutionary. I don't think we've ever seen a costume that was so devoid of color.
From the beginning, it just felt he was black. You know, just there was no question about it, not blue or dark gray. Just go back to the psychology of what the guy is trying to do. He's trying to make a mythic, almost supernatural persona.
Nice outfit.
It had a really mysterious, almost fusion of like a modern-day vampire with the Caped Crusader that we all knew from the comic books.
He's trying to intimidate and frighten. You know, therefore, in the suit he creates for himself, he's gonna try to look as imposing as possible. So that's where the black, tough texture, rubber, leather, heaviness, you know, we worked on several different types of weights of the cape in terms of easier to flow in the breeze, more heavy to give it a weight to it, more wingspan, whatever we could do to give him the persona that he was trying to project.
What you're suggesting is an interesting thing. You want it to look like you're wounded, but you're still going for it.
You had to adjust and work the suit. Yeah, that was an experience, but you know, I used it to help with the character. You say, boy, you know, how fortunate am I that I got to be doing this? I don't think my body has recovered yet.
Some kind of body armor.
He's got muscles. He's got protection. That was a revolutionary idea in the Batman mythos. Like, oh, yeah, why wouldn't he wear body armor? But as we see with the Michael Keaton Batsuit, mobility is a factor. Basically, your cowl is connected to the whole suit, and so anytime Michael Keaton Batman had to turn to face somebody, some of this.
Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed up like Batman?
Joel Schumacher comes into the Batman franchise and keeps it all relatively close to what the audience knows, with the exception of adding nipples.
What's wrong?
Schumacher's version of Batman was very archetypal, and I think for him, he was trying to model it after classic sculptures from antiquity because that's who these characters were. They were gods on Earth. And you do that by sculpting muscles into plastic.
My job was to put in everything new that I could. Bob Ringwood had designed the original batsuits that Michael Keaton and the stunt people wore. By the time it got to 1994, he said that that process had been refined so much that we could have a much more body-fitting suit. And so we were able to sculpt it much more to the human anatomy, and it worked.
Black rubber.
Try fireman, less to take off. It's hard to wait in the batsuit. It puzzled me forever because I knew it was like something and it just wouldn't come to me what it was. And one day I realized it's like being old because no one talks back to you when you're talking. You can't hear, you can't move. It's a long list of things that you can't do anymore when you're in the batsuit. But it looks good.
The problem is everything covers your ears are completely blocked and your eyesight is like that. And everything is up underneath your throat and everything is about 2 sizes too small. You're just clamped in. You can really only stay in for about 15 minutes before, if you're doing anything physical, before you have to get out.
By the time you get to the end of Batman and Robin, and even the end of Batman Forever, you get multiple outfits now in a Batman movie.
This is why Superman works alone.
Why bats, Master Wayne?
Bats frighten me. This time my enemies shared my dread.
Christopher Nolan really looked at the world of Batman and said, if this really existed, what would it look like? And brought as much realism, practicality into everything that we thought we knew about the world of Batman.
What I wanted to do with the batsuit was look at the history of the way that Batman had been drawn by all these different artists over the years and look for the commonalities, look for the things that had stuck. I felt that you were going to need a suit that had a certain sort of contemporary hardware quality to it. It had to have a sense of function that would play into the credibility of, Bruce Wayne putting on this extraordinary costume.
Nomex survival suit for advanced infantry. Kevlar bi-weave, reinforced joints.
Tear-resistant.
This sucker will stop a knife.
Bulletproof.
Anything but a straight shot.
Initially, it was something like a combat outfit, and then that's when we started designing it and hoping that it could be a survival suit type thing, an advance on a wetsuit, waterproof, armor-proof, and with components inside which maintain the body temperature, keep the muscles from freezing up.
I wanted to combine that with the more operatic, the more graceful elements of the costume, particularly the use of the cape. It's very dramatic and operatic, and it blows and it flows and it has incredible drama to it. And we want to really embrace it and try and get some of the drama of that part of the costume onto the screen.
Hardened Kevlar plates over titanium-dipped tri-weave fibers for flexibility.
He explored real-world composite material that would provide the most amount of protection mixed with mesh to obviously create the elasticity and freedom of movement that you needed in the suit.
You want to be able to turn your head.
Sure made backing out of the driveway easier.
I think he just really thought through it and in that way reinvented it and made it super exciting for a new generation of fans.
It never stops being surreal. It never stops giving me goosebumps. Just being that person where you walk down the steps and it's just little old me, but inside of this, suit, everyone just stops and is looking. And I can't help but feel immensely in those moments. I recognize the honor of being able to play this icon.
Where are you?
Here.
Zack Snyder doesn't have the same kind of it's got to make sense that Chris Nolan's got when it comes to Batman. So for him, it's like, what looks coolest? And to him and to the whole world, what looked cool was what Frank Miller did in The Dark Knight Returns. So in Batman v Superman, not only do you get a bat suit that looks like Frank Miller's Batman fat bat suit, it's got the big fat bat on it. When he fights Superman, he puts him in the armor. Here I am.
It's amazing, you see the bat suit and you just go, that's awesome, right? That's cool. I want to be Batman, it's really an interesting sort of psychological thing that's happening now because it's so coded into us at this point. Our response to it is so visceral and so deep, you can't even really analyze it.
His power wasn't through the armor and the technical details of the suit, but just the brute strength of the man inside the suit.
I got in the best shape that I'd ever been in, and then I sort of got past that as we were going for this idea of a big, hulking, thicker bruiser, sort of Frank Miller, Dark Knight physique, which was more big brawler.
I think for Ben, it really helped him that he could move in it, that he could do all he needed to do, and you get a sense of the actor and the performance within the suit rather than the suit wearing Ben. The suit, in fact, skims the body. You can see every muscle. You get this impression of a tower of strength.
Whatever you do, Wherever you go, I'll be watching you.
That costume was very fierce, menacing, physically super imposing. It looked more comics accurate. It leaned on the gray palette of the costume from the comic book itself.
Also, Zach really wanted the costume to look like it had been around for a long time, that he'd fought in this costume over the decades, and there's like a battle-worn quality to the costume.
The mask was fairly unadorned, simple, but also he introduced these furrowed brows that was built into the cowl itself, which certainly the way I drew Batman.
We have a signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning to them.
When you look at what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman movie, like Nolan's take, it leans more on the realistic side of things. It is drawing upon real-world armored suits. I see a lot of samurai influence in what he's doing. I see a lot of medieval knight suits of armor influences in his take.
The Batsuit is an evolution. This is the year 2 version, and I wanted you to get the feeling that Bruce had put that together in the Batcave, and definitely riot gear, police tactical riot gear, military gear was an inspiration for the crafting of it.
The suit itself, it's all divided into kind of panels and elements. It's very much based from sort of late Vietnam period to contemporary kind of military techniques in sort of ballistic protection.
We take stuff from real life and introduce it into the costume. So with his utility belt, he's got police issue ammo pouches and packs. And the same with the boots. There's just like Austrian army boots. He's made a top to them to protect his shin. The whole idea that it should feel very real and grounded in reality.
The purpose of the Batsuit, it's to intimidate and scare the hell out of the criminal element. That's why he's chosen this image.
Matt, I wanted it to be scary, so I thought maybe if it could be more skull-like. They're the kind of feeling sculpted in like you would around a skull. And this nose piece, because it's that kind of square, like from the front, it's got that feeling maybe of a skull where there's just that opening in the face. It looks like almost like he's just got a strap over his nose kind of thing. And obviously it's also inspired a little bit by the Adam West square.
He took the ears and went even more into sort of a devil horn kind of shape with them. And then the other thing he did, which was really interesting to me, was taking the cowl and really taking it far back so that it almost looks like a mask versus a whole helmet that encompasses the face. I think it really just gave him the full mobility of the head.
You put on the suit and you immediately feel incredibly powerful. There's obvious benefits to it. And also just to trying to figure out how to project a performance through a mask, basically. It's kind of, you realize pretty quickly that this is way harder than a normal part. You have a new face, basically. And anything which you could rely on before in terms of performance is just suddenly out the window. And you have to just relearn an entirely different language. I find that really fun to try and find just a new way of doing something when a lot of your heroes have played it before.
I have to become more. People need hope, to know someone's out there for them.
I think the Batsuit travels further than Superman's outfit because of this. Because once you pull on the cowl, anybody could be Batman. You know, that fantasy element of like you're going to enshroud yourself to become this different person. We can't all be Superman, we don't even look like the guy. Look at these outfits around us. They are undeniably cool. It's supposed to strike fear into the hearts of criminals. That's the idea behind the suit. But, you know, it's never made me feel anything but positive, empowered. So it always blows my mind when he descends on somebody in the comics and they're all like, Batman! I'm like, what? Like you're in Gotham City and you're doing bad things. Yes, he's gonna show up, of course. But to me, if he showed up, I'd be like, Batman! Because who don't like that suit, man?